Here's your shot at winning $1,000. Text the national keyword STOCK right now to 95819. That's STOCK to 95819. We'll text you back to confirm your entry. Data and messaging rates may apply. Please don't text and drive. It's 5K a day on WMAL. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Hold up. It's 7:07. Thanks for tuning in. Did Don Lemon really tell illegal aliens to go out and get a gun for when ICE comes knocking? Are you kidding me?
I'm not surprised that he would say something so stupid, but he's not listening to our show.
That's incitement. That's Don Lemon. I want to remind you, it was just less than a year ago that he was a very well-paid anchor and the face of CNN.
Yeah.
That back then, he had no political bias. He was completely right down the middle, just to call it like it is, journalist. Now suddenly he's got an opinion, and it's quite an opinion. Coming up in 30 minutes, James Carafano of the Heritage Foundation on Zelensky's trip to Washington today. And then at 8:35, political journalist Mark Halperin up in New York covered the debate last night. He was our eyes and ears, and we'll get his impression of that. Then, it's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning and happy Friday, everybody.
Sure. Let's go with that. Happy Friday. It is nice to hit the weekend this weekend. Joining us right now, there's no weekends when you're the chairwoman of the Republican Party in Fairfax County, and you're just 2.5 weeks from Election Day. Katie Gorka joins us now, the fairer of the Gorkas. Hi, Katie. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Larry, Patrice.
Lots to catch up on here. Last night's debate, of course, with Jones and Miyares, and the polls now showing super tight races, things like that. But I got to ask you first, I keep seeing this from voters in Fairfax County expressing alarm over their mail-in ballots because there are holes in the envelope. And when you put your ballot in, depending on how you folded it, it could reveal one of the dots that you've hit for who you voted for. Why do they put the holes in these places where the vote can be seen? Is this something people should be concerned about, Katie?
Larry, it's the million-dollar question. And yes, it is. And you know what's crazy? I don't know if you've seen this, but the Proposition 50 election in California over redistricting has the same problem.
Exact same thing.
Wow.
And let me be clear there, if I can jump in, because I want to be specific. It seems like the whole reveals in California if you voted against Gavin Newsom. Not for, against, number one. And also in Fairfax, it appears as though the whole reveals who you voted for in the Attorney General's race.
I think it reveals whether or not you voted for Jason Miyares. And yes, Larry, I wasn't paranoid. I thought it was just a mistake when I saw it in Fairfax. But when I saw it in California, the same thing. I mean, goodness gracious, it's enough to make you believe in conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So, listen, here's what we're advised. So the problem is, depending on how you fold your ballot, there is a 50-50 chance that somebody in the post office can see, or anywhere, can see how you voted. And we've had real problems with the post office here in Fairfax County, delaying mail that was obviously from Republicans. So we are advising people either vote in person or bring your absentee ballot and drop it in person at one of the drop boxes or voting locations. And if you're worried about a ballot that you've already submitted, you can check online whether it's been received at the Fairfax County Office of Elections, so you can track it. And if for some reason it doesn't arrive by Election Day, you can still go in and vote provisionally.
Quick follow-up on that, and thank you, Katie Gorka. Setting aside the post office for a second, what about the people who handle the ballots once they're received? They're the ones who are in charge of counting. Do you have enough poll watchers? Do you need people to come in and make sure that everything is done on the up and up there?
Oh, we always need poll watchers. We could use volunteers for that. That would be great. And I mean, that's always, we put a lot of focus on election integrity, and we do have an army of volunteers, but we always need more. So go to Fairfax GOP and volunteer.
Terrific. We're speaking with Katie Gorka, Fairfax GOP chairwoman. I would love your thoughts on last night's debate between Jason Miyares and Jay Jones. And we've been playing clips all morning of just how insane it was and just what a great job AG Miyares did in really exposing Jay Jones. What were your takeaways from last night?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I was so impressed. I mean, I've always been impressed with Jason Miyares. He's just so strong. But I thought his command of the facts last night was absolutely amazing. And I love the fact that something that I really hadn't been that aware of, but Governor Youngkin has also put out an incredible tweet on what they have done in the last 4 years with something called Operation Ceasefire Virginia. It's kind of like what Trump is doing now in American cities, but they really focused on crime. I didn't realize this. Homicides are down by 33% in Virginia.
Wow.
Whereas, as Miyares pointed out, Jay Jones has supported early release for felons, and Miyares made the point 70 Virginians are dead now because of felons who were released early who should not have been.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Katie Gorka. All those facts are very important, and Jason Miyares, his job performance, super relevant, but not nearly as relevant as prosecuting Donald Trump, apparently. That's all you heard. Is that voters in Fairfax County, and let's face it, Fairfax County is probably the bluest of the blue when it comes to how voters are going to show up. After 10 years of resistance, after all of the indictments and prosecutions and impeachments, and Trump continues to win anyway, is this still what's going to motivate the voters, do you think?
I think it's going to motivate the voters, who are very ideologically driven. But the bottom line is the majority of voters just care about the basics. They care about the number one issue is the economy, and the number two issue is safety. And I think the message is coming across loud and clear that Jason Miyares is much better for the safety of Virginians. I think that's what's going to drive people. I think what's also really important with this election is these wicked, nasty tweets about wishing death on his colleague and on his colleague's children. Yeah. What's interesting about that, it may not change the mind of Democrats, but it's making Republicans angry, and it's motivating them to get out and vote. Elections like this really come down to turnout, right? Normally an election like this would be a low turnout, like maybe 40%. But if you get people angry, they'll turn out.
Wow, that's a really good point. And it's so interesting when we've looked at the polling, including new Trafalgar polling here, that has Jason Miyares up about 5 points. John Reed running for lieutenant governor in a dead heat, literally, with Hashmi and Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, maybe a couple of points behind Spamberger. What are you looking for in terms of these numbers and just generally the polling as we enter these last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so interesting because I feel like they always get it off by a few points in Virginia in favor of Democrats. This is consistently what's happened in the polling. So I think this is the Republicans' race to win. It's all going to come down to turnout. If people care about what they're seeing, they need to get out and vote. But I have to say, I think it's also fascinating. The Democrats, the radical left, they want Virginia so badly, and I think it's so interesting and actually so tone deaf that Spamberger has had Obama do ads for her.
Yeah.
She's brought in Pete Buttigieg, and I think we even had the Clintons in McLean last night for a fundraiser. I'm sorry, but these are people who we all can't stand. How do you think they're going to help you? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, but you notice who she's not having, and she's not having Ralph Northam. She's not having Terry McAuliffe. She's not having Kamala Harris. I think that's telling, frankly, and I think that they're definitely getting desperate if they're bringing in Barack Obama here at the last. And Pete Buttigieg, who, by the way, I believe polls 0 with black voters. Fascinating. Katie Gorka, literally. Katie, we will talk to you again soon. Get back to work now and get that vote out, and I appreciate you joining us on these issues.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Katie.
It's 7:15 WMAL.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939. Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
We had a debate last night in New York City as well for mayor. all of the smart set told me, just wait till Andrew Cuomo gets on that debate stage, then he'll show something. Then he was pathetic yesterday.
No.
Here's the thing about Andrew. No, I'm fine with that. Honestly, I've written this race off because Andrew Cuomo is horrible. He's a terrible governor. He's a terrible human being. And Zohran Mamdani it's an act. The whole thing is an act. He's a communist, but he smiles. I am convinced, Patrice Onwuka, that there is a good portion of New York voters who firmly believe that Zohran Mamdani is that nice little fellow who wrote Hamilton. I think he.
No!
I'm telling you, he looks like Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I think they're that confused. Honestly, they don't care. Oh, it's that sweet man who used to rap about George Washington. Sure, I'll vote for him. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness! I would hope that's not the case.
New York's going to get what they deserve, and the fact of the matter is, if the Democrats could only offer a communist and one of the most hated politicians in America, they do get what they deserve. The hubris in this race. Andrew Cuomo decided he was going to resurrect his political career. He's got all the money. He's got the name recognition. He was the governor, but he had to leave in shame because of sexual exploits and because of the lockdown that resulted in the death of senior citizens and his horrible policies. Yes. But the way the Democrats are in New York, it's like, Cuomo's in. All right, then we're not going to jump in the race. We're scared of him. We're scared because of course in New York City they all thought, wow, I like Cuomo. He was fine. And then that opened the door for someone like Zohran Mamdani, who's only been a citizen for 6 years, who was born in Uganda, who is a jihadist-loving Muslim who hates Israel and doesn't even identify as a Democrat. He's a socialist, if not communist, with his radical policies. It opened the door for voters to say, well, anybody but Cuomo. And they voted for anybody but Cuomo. They voted for Zohran Mamdani, and that's what they're going to do. And the debate was awful. Cuomo had an opportunity here to be humble. Cuomo had an opportunity to make an appeal to moderates and Republicans and sort of be a third-way Giuliani type, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. He couldn't. His arrogance. And here's the other thing that was revealed. I'm sorry. I'm going on and on about this because I'm passionate about this issue. Andrew Cuomo was elevated. The media loved him. Oh, these press conferences during COVID are so great, and they boosted him up as the anti-Trump. You remember during the lockdown, and his state press conferences were televised live, and he became a superstar, and they loved him. And he wrote a book during the pandemic while people were dying in nursing homes because of his policies. He is a narcissistic egomaniac, and even worse, when you're in politics, he's not a good politician. He was awful on the debate stage last night. He has coasted his entire career because his name is Cuomo. And he has used that arrogance and that birthright to trample over any other person, Democrat or Republican, as a bully in that state. And it's now being revealed how bad he is. And again, sorry, New York City, I love you, but you get what you deserve.
Well, let's play a cut because I'd love to hear just how bad he sounded.
All right, let's do that. Cut 26 here. Everybody on the stage was asked about who they admire, and the topic of the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, came up. Kathy Hochul, by the way, famously has endorsed Zohran Mamdani. Well, watch how Mamdani returns the favor. Cut 26.
Okay. How about the political leader, dead or alive, you most admire? Mr. Mamdani?
I would say I admire Bernie Sanders.
Mr. Cuomo?
My father.
Mr. Sliwa?
I said it already, George Pataki, who was loved by Democrats and Republicans and the greatest mayor in our lifetime.
All right.
The greatest governor in our
I just have one more before Sally starts to ask you about schools. A show of hands. Who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election?
It's a decision that should be made after this general election.
So no decision. Mr. Cuomo, you handpicked her as your lieutenant governor. No thought?
You have to know who's running.
Yeah. Okay, so...
And I would add that I do think that Kathy Hochul, our governor, has been doing a good job in not only
support her for re-election?
Not only delivering for New Yorkers, but also standing up to Donald Trump.
Do you support her for re-election?
Then endorse her.
I'm focusing on November.
Why don't you endorse her?
And I appreciate her support, and I appreciate her work.
But you don't endorse her.
Shout out
Cuomo's not going to endorse her because Cuomo's not going to endorse her because she threw Cuomo under the bus for her power grab, right?
Yeah.
But look at that. Mamdani got her endorsement, and he won't return the favor. And why? Because he's hoping AOC will run for it, or somebody else will, some socialist will run. Because he's not really a Democrat; he's a communist. And these days, I'm having trouble telling the two apart. It's 7:23.
They're all politicians.
To get more analysis on this race, Mark Halperin, New York-based political journalist, 8:05. Tune in for Mark Halperin then. It's 7:23.
Okay, coming up next, James Carafano from Heritage. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 7:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:37. Thanks so much for being part of our Friday morning version of O'Connor and Company. Coming up at 8:05, Mark Halperin. He covered last night's debate in New York City for mayor, and we'll get his reaction. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
If you say so. Will it be a happy Friday for Volodymyr Zelensky as he arrives at the White House later today? Let's check in with an expert, Jim Carafano. He's national security and foreign policy expert and senior counselor to the Heritage Foundation president. He's also the E.W. Richardson Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He knows what he's talking about. Mr. Carafano, always good to talk to you, my friend.
It is great to be with you.
So what's on the agenda today with regard to Ukraine, Russia, and this face-to-face with Volodymyr Zelensky?
Yeah, so probably two things. One, obviously, talking about how they're going to deal with Putin going forward, and then the other is the range of things the U.S. is doing to support Ukraine, and that obviously is going to include weapons support. But then there's other things on the table: sanctions, assets, frozen assets, and stuff. So here's the thing: I don't know what's going to happen in the meeting today, but I can tell you two things, which I absolutely 1,000% believe are true, and really explain everything. On the U.S. side, Donald Trump has already decided that he is for a free and independent Ukraine that can defend itself. And that's not changing no matter what happens. He's also decided that he wants to end this war, and he will continue to do whatever he can to bring the war to the conclusion. That's not changing. These are two immovable goals that the president will stick with, regardless of what anybody does. So, on the other side, Putin is doing one of two things. It is very Russian to push the envelope like an annoying ex-wife, right? Until you discover that there is no more to be gotten, and then you cut a deal. So is this that day? I don't know. Maybe. The other thing is the Russians famously play rope-a-dope, right? They say they're going to do something, and then which Putin is showing up here? Has he finally decided that it's time to close this thing down because I've squeezed all the blood out of this stone I'm going to get? Or is it I'm going to continue to kind of just mess with these guys a little more? I don't know. But it's one of those. But the thing is, from the U.S. perspective, it doesn't matter because Donald Trump has already put on the table that he is going to support Ukraine, that, let's be honest, the American people are with him on this. His allies are with him on this. And he wants to end this war. And he's demonstrated in Gaza that he is willing to put in the sweat equity to stick with it until it stops. So you have the immovable object, and then you have, Vladimir Putin going, what do I do? Give me a glass of vodka.
So, Jim, I mean, to your point about President Trump's commitment to helping Ukraine here, it's expected that Zelensky would ask for advanced missiles. And I think something was asked of President Trump about the Tomahawks. And he said, we'll see, maybe. But he also at the same time said you don't want to deplete the U.S. stockpile of Tomahawks. What are you thinking Zelensky's request is going to be when he sits down with and has these conversations with the president? Is he going to ask for more than just missiles, or is he going to ask for other U.S. support?
Jim? Oh, it looks like we lost Mr. Carafano somewhere in there.
Okay.
All right, he's going to connect here again. But, yeah, that is sort of the key thing. And President Trump has sort of been on both sides of the question of whether the Tomahawk missiles will be deployed or not, or allowed to be deployed or allowed to be purchased. Meanwhile, as we were building up to this meeting today, at the last minute, what did Putin do? He picked up the phone and he called Trump and said, "Oh, hey, I hear you're talking to Zelensky. Maybe we should talk first." Jim, I don't know if you heard Patrice's question, but it had to do with the deployment of Tomahawks.
Yeah, so I think, to be honest, the deployment is, I don't want to say completely symbolic. I mean, obviously, it's another capability that makes life miserable for the Russians, but Zelensky has managed to put additional long-range stuff on the table. We're still pressuring the Germans to release Taurus missiles, so it's not a game changer, but it is a way of putting additional pressure on. So how it actually plays out, I don't think it's really central to the issue, which is, when does Putin decide enough is enough?
How does the success, it appears, the success of the Middle East negotiations and the coalition of Arab states and some Western European nations as well to sort of oversee the second phase and third phase of this peace process, how does that affect Trump's approach to Russia, Ukraine, and the kind of leeway that he might get from European nations? And does it put more pressure on Putin? Does he feel more isolated after seeing what happened in the Middle East?
Well, definitely Trump looks like a stronger, more influential, more important global leader. That's worrying for Putin. And now Putin's position in the Middle East is marginalized even more. And don't forget, Trump just organized a peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which is on Putin's other flank. So he has lost influence in the Caucasus and Central Asia. Trump's been pressuring the Chinese. He's been very aggressive in the high north. We just made a deal with the Finns for icebreakers. So on virtually every front, Putin is losing ground. And he actually started the war in Ukraine to demonstrate that instead of being on the defensive and having been pressured on his borders, that he was going to scare the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
And he's achieved exactly the opposite under Donald Trump.
Really quick, Jim Carafano of Heritage. We heard and were stunned when we learned that First Lady Melania Trump was working directly with Putin to secure the release of children, Ukrainian children. Do you think that's going to come up in the conversations today?
It might. It says a lot more about her than it does about him. He is just a heartless bastard who will play with lives, like Hamas dealt with hostages. But for her, it's a real, and it's not just her. This is the one terrible thing about this administration. What people say about them is, this is an administration that has a heart that is so huge. So her personal commitment and interest in returning these kids to their family, people like Tom Homan, who's out there every day looking for 300,000 kids that Biden lost and didn't care about. This is an administration that really does have a big humanitarian heart, and it's really sad to see them attacked so often as kind of being, the heartless, the heartless cretins in the White House, because it's so not true.
Yeah.
Well, we got to leave it there. Jim J. Carafano, always good to talk with you. Don't be a stranger. It's 7:44.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Well, I regret to inform you that we have a bit of a sad development here, I suppose, with regard to our community and Stephen Miller's family in Arlington. It's good news for the Stephen Miller family, I suppose, in that they're going to be moving to a more friendlier environment, I hope. The bad news is that they have been driven out of their neighborhood by the awfuls, the affluent white. What does AWFL stand for again? What's the F? Females? Liberals. That's it. Affluent white female liberals. The awfuls. Yeah. All of Julie Gunlock's neighbors in Alexandria and Arlington who constantly harass people. They have those black framed glasses, of course, and the severe haircuts. And you'll remember that a friend of the program, Corey Anganamort, was walking in Arlington and came across these women who were drawing hateful things in chalk on the sidewalks at a park right across from the Miller's home. Here, take a listen to Corey confronting them, cut 29.
Yeah, if you want some chalk, you're welcome to.
Thank you. Miller is preying on families. Do you think that's appropriate rhetoric 4 days after a political leader was assassinated?
Yeah.
Can you explain yourself, please?
Absolutely. He is...
Praying? Wouldn't that incite a reaction to...
Oh, shut up.
Wouldn't that incite some sort of violence?
No.
I'm not...
There you go. You heard the tone. This is after, of course, the two assassination attempts on Donald Trump and after the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk, using language like that in the neighborhood. It's now being reported that the Millers have listed their home. It is on the market now. It's in a cul-de-sac. It's just near that park. They just purchased it in 2023, and now they'll be selling it and hopefully moving to a more friendlier neighborhood. But it's sad, and it's enraging that this is how people are in this town.
It's sad, which even makes it even more sad that I think a lot of people actually shared Jay Jones's kind of philosophy on how conservatives should be treated. And they're fine with the violent rhetoric. They're fine with the violence. That's the scary part. So good for the Millers for moving out of there. I hope they find a nice, friendly neighborhood. You don't have to agree with your neighbors, but for goodness sake, don't try to run them out there and hope that they die or they're hurt and wounded or injured. It's crazy.
Stephen Miller and his wife Katie Miller lived in the home with their children. Katie Miller met her husband Stephen in the White House during the first Trump administration. They were married. They started their family here. She took to the social media platform X after Corey's video went viral, showing what these neighbors were doing to them and trying to intimidate them in their own neighborhood. She said, to the tolerant left who spent their day trying to intimidate us in the house where we have 3 young children, we will not back down. We will not cower in fear. We will double down always for Charlie. That was on September 14th, 1 month ago. Clearly, there have been other concerns here and other pressure that maybe we don't even know about. I can only imagine what kind of hell it's like living in that neighborhood and trying to do the job that you were hired to do after the American people elected overwhelmingly President Trump for the White House. And whatever has happened in the intervening weeks, the Miller family has decided that it's best for them and best for their children to sell their home and move out. And it's just that this is... we're a company town here in Washington, D.C., and in the surrounding environments, and people move here, they come here, they work here, and their job is to work for various administrations. And I can only imagine that if conservative Republican neighbors had treated a family who was working for the Obama White House in a similar fashion, there would be appropriate, righteous outrage. And by the way, the mayor of Arlington, the city council, and county supervisors.
They should weigh in here.
Of course they should. They really want to create an environment in their cities where only one side of the political spectrum are welcome to live there and work there and dine there and go to the stores and go to the restaurants. Are they mad? Are they insane? And the answer is yes. They're so blinded by their political rage. Abigail Spanberger says it the best on the campaign trail. Let your rage fuel you, and that's what this looks like. That's what the end result is. Good for you, Miller family. I'm sad that this happened to you, but we wish you luck, and hopefully you'll be able to live in some peace and privacy wherever you end up. It's 7:53.